Welcome back, everyone, to the Let's Talk LIMS podcast, the official podcast of the Leadership Institute for Military Spouses, where we celebrate leadership, growth, and impact within the military spouse community. I'm your host, Tony Castillo, and today we're going to dive directly back into the Emerging Leaders Program, but this time through a different lens. We're going to be hearing from two amazing alumni who have graduated from the program and have gone on to do amazing things within the military spouse community. Please welcome Cassie Stoll, Melissa McGill. Thank you so much to the both of you for being here today. I understand that you both have busy schedules, and the fact that we're all here together to have our discussion within the Emerging Leaders Program, I'm so excited. So thank you both for being here today. Before we start, I kind of want to start off. I always start off with a little bit of what I call icebreaker questions, because I know that the listeners may want to get to know the both of you a little bit more. So Cassie, I'll start off with you.
Sure.
Can you share a little bit more about your background as a military spouse?
Yeah, absolutely. I am an Air Force spouse. My husband has been in for we're going on 13 years now. We were actually stuck in Grand Forks, North Dakota for 10 of those years, freezing. And then we moved to New Jersey about 3.5 years ago, where he's at a special duty here. Had the absolute military spouse experience. My son was born on deployment, got to deal with all of that. Gotta love everything to do with TRICARE and all of that. I'm very fortunate. I work remotely, so I was able to keep my job through it. So one of my biggest passion projects is I try to keep other military spouses employed. I work with not only this program, but American corporate partners and things like that to help people, because my background's in HR and I've been in recruiting for about a decade. So I will go out of my way to help either our veteran friends or other spouses write resumes so they can get hired.
Hi, everybody. So, of course, I am Melissa McGill. I am a proud Navy wife. My husband has been in the Navy for 32 years and counting. It doesn't look like retirement is in sight. But in addition to that, my father was a Marine. I also work for the Army, so I am really familiar with kind of almost all of the branches. And having grown up around the Marines as well as the Coast Guard, because I'm originally from North Carolina. So just been around all of the branches pretty much all of my life. I just never thought that it would be this long, 32 years and counting. I thought maybe by now we would be settled in an RV doing something different, but that hasn't happened yet. So I'm just very passionate too about the military community, especially, dealing with military spouses, because I've seen the changes of things that has happened along the way. I've seen, the growth. And so I'm really passionate about helping spouses, to reach their highest potential, especially in this day and time. We have so many more opportunities out there than what we did when I first started off. Even things like communication has changed. So I'm just very passionate. And so I do a lot of coaching, a lot of mentoring, in addition to also working in behavioral health.
Yeah. Oh, amazing.
Thank you both for sharing. I love hearing people's stories. Now I want to jump into what we'll be talking about in this episode. And the way how it's structured is I want to talk about your journey to how you found yourself to joining the Emerging Leaders Program, the experiences you had the program, and then we'll transition to how this program has impacted you in your personal and professional careers. And then we'll close out kind of with a little bit more of how this has made an impact in your community as well, how you have used what you learned within your community. So with that being said, I would like to start off by asking the both of you, how did you first hear about LIMS and the Emerging Leaders Program?
So I actually I believe I saw it on LinkedIn. So as I mentioned, I'm in HR. And so I spend a lot of time scrolling on LinkedIn. And because, again, of my passions of serving and helping military, I just came across it. And I am a lifelong learner. I love to learn. I love to be a part of things. It's a very common thing that if I see a program, especially if it says free, I'm down, let's go. And I'll sign up for it. Just something that, I'm an economic learner, let's say that. So I applied for it thinking, I was like, oh, hey, this is cool. Long term, I want to get into leadership, so this makes sense. And I was very fortunate. And then now that I follow the program, I've also done the Notre Dame mental health one as well, which is also really great. But yeah, so thrilled that I found it just scrolling one day.
Nice. So one of the things I forgot to mention during my introduction is I have a son and a daughter-in-law also in the military. They're in the Navy. So yeah, so the whole family is like embedded in there. Everybody. So, but my journey to ELP is I was already a part of MSON as a mentor. And so when the ELP popped up and it's leadership, and I'm like, well, this is a good thing, because I need to make sure to hone the skills that I have. And so that's what drew me to it. I'm like, this is perfect. And I wanted to make sure, I said, as a volunteer, is this for me too? And they said, sure. And I was like, okay, I'm all in, because again, I'm always about trying to improve self in order to help others. So that's what drew me to it, is because I was already a part of MSON and I love MSON. So I've just been with it for a couple of years now. So when this opportunity popped up, I just was not going to miss. I think I stayed up like at midnight doing the application because I wanted to be the first. I don't know if I was, but I'm just that very passionate about it. I'm like, no, this is perfect for me. I need these, these leadership skills to be honed in. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm happy that and it's so exciting to hear, how your journeys were, how you got to the Emerging Leaders Program. And the one thing that I've noticed, I guess you could say a similarity between the two, and that the thing I loved is that there is an eagerness to learn. Yes. There is an eagerness to learn. And I think that is such an exciting element, because as we'll discuss, there's so much to learn. And I had the unique opportunity of being a part of last year's cohort. And one thing I didn't know, though, is that I was going to learn so much about myself in ways that I didn't even know. And I thought I knew myself pretty well, but no, I did not. Like, no, I did not. And I got to stop myself before I get too much into it, because I could go on forever about it. So I guess with that, we'll jump into the program itself. And the first question regarding the Emerging Leaders Program itself is, thinking back to your time with the Emerging Leaders Program, what was your experience like at the start of the program or throughout the program?
So throughout the program, at first I was a little concerned because they were long sessions, but when we actually sat down, I was very impressed, because it didn't feel as long as the calendar invite made it look, which is a positive. And I was also very pleased with the interactive nature of it. I actually design talent and development programs for a Fortune 500. So it's something that I am very passionate about. And I have a very low tolerance for people who yap without actually giving interaction, because that's just not my vibe, not how I like to do things. But being able to have different voices, different perspectives, and I think that they did a really good job of, if you didn't know what to talk about, they'd give you a prompt, something to this. It's like, here is this. I remember in one of the breakout rooms, they're like, hey, we're going to put y'all together, plan a birthday party. And it was so vague, but then we ended up coming back together, and we're like, oh, this is actually really cool, and really fascinating. But one of the things, I think it was the second session specifically about, I remember, like, I actually still have it, the little dinosaur. I remember sending an email when I got my package, and I was like, hey, so I found this little dinosaur in my package. Was this intentional? Did some little toddler misplace it? And they're like, no, it's there for a reason. And I remember I actually took a screen grab. I'm looking at my notes here of the little boy with the dinosaur picture. And I think about that little boy all the time. I don't remember the whole story anymore, but I remember the little boy. I remember the feeling, and the little dinosaur literally sits on my desk every single day, and I look at it every single day because it was so emotionally impactful.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, one of the things that captured my attention is when we did the breakout rooms, I started to notice it seemed like the same people that I was in the breakout rooms with before. Like we ended up in the same rooms, and we were talkers. We were just talking, and so we had to think about it for a moment, because the same thing, they gave us prompts and we were just planning. It was like, no, we just boom, we're gonna do it this way. But we were the extroverts and the wooers and the communicators, and I was like, oh, this makes perfect sense, so, and when we started to visit with our Clifton strengths, most of us that was in those rooms together, we had pretty much majority of the same strengths, which was good to know, because it gave me an insight into basically a look at self from a different perspective. Looking at the strengths of other people and how we communicate and how we are the doers in the room. Like you did have some planners in the room, but we were the doers. And so to put us in those same breakout rooms together, and we were just like, boom, boom, boom. Oh yeah, we're going to get it done. We were communicating again, and the influencers. So I really enjoyed that. And I met a lot of people that was just like me. Where we're lifelong learners, because I definitely consider myself a lifelong learner. I'm like a sponge. I'm always absorbing. And like you said, Cassie, especially when it's free, I'm like, free, count me in, because yeah, let's go. I'm an author by trade. So I'm always writing. I've written 11 books, but I'm also reading too. Yeah. So I'm also reading. So again, that's that, absorbing the knowledge. So when I saw that this was free, I'm like, yes, count me in. And then like I said, to bounce off on other people who were kind of similar to me, and not just the ones that was similar to me, but even those that were the quieter ones, bouncing ideas off on others. It really was very eye-opening for me. Like I learned, like you said, Tony, I learned a lot about myself. Well, I learned woo, because before I'm like, and who am I wooing? But when we break it down, I'm like, well, yeah, that is me. So the Clifton strengths was really, really great for me. And I keep those. I mean, I have them right here now because I go back, from time to time and be like, okay, what is this about me that I'm feeling this way? Oh yeah, this is my belief. I'm aligning my passion with my purposes. So I keep my binders in arm's reach, because I'm always referring back to those for different things, looking at those strengths, looking at some of the leadership modules that we had. Just very eye-opening. So I definitely enjoyed that part of it.
11 books.
11, I read 11 books. Yeah.
That is incredible. Yeah, that's awesome. And I hearing that, because I really like that both of you brought up the small breakout rooms and how you were able to spend time with other military spouses within the cohort. That leads me to my next question I wanted to ask you is that how did being part of a cohort with other military spouses shape your learning and growth within the Emerging Leaders Program?
Well, I really liked, again, I love seeing a variety of perspectives. I think one of the beautiful things about the military is it doesn't matter where you come from. We all come from very different social economic backgrounds, all of that. We're all still dealing with the same nonsense. Let's be real. But at the same time, it's also nice to see those who are very similar to us, because then you don't feel so alone, talking about it. And it's really fascinating to see when, so for example, my top 5, the first one is context. And I learned about myself that is a true analytical strategic mindset. And I just thought that was my little ADHD brain being like, I just see patterns. That's just what it is. I didn't realize that was a very common thing and actually was a strength. And guess what? I wasn't the only one in the room who had that. And that was a really, it made me feel, I guess, included. And that was really, really fabulous.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with Cassie. There was this movie that I watched some years ago. The title of it was The Same Kind of Different as Me.
Ooh,
that is what I can say about, yeah, that is what I can say about
yeah.
military spouses that was in this program. Like, they may have come from different backgrounds, different countries. Like, we had a couple of people that came from different countries, foreign born spouses. Oh my goodness, you think that we go through things, they really had to go through things because they're foreign born. But even going through that, when we all came together, it's like you said, we experienced some of the same things as military spouses. So goes back to that title of that movie, The Same Kind of Different as Me. Like, we may come from different backgrounds, or we may even be from different countries. But when it comes to being a military spouse, we're all experiencing some of the same things, good and bad. Not all bad, but good and bad. Like, we all can relate. Like, if you walked in that room and when we had our cohort and you said PSC, everybody in there could be like, yep, oh yeah. This got broken, that got broken. We all could really relate, so.
We all have those orange stickers. Yes. We all have had commissary sushi. Yeah. Like, we all have had some phone call with TRICARE we wish was shorter. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah, or to just be on hold.
Girl. So yes, there are certain universal things.
Right. Absolutely. And that's what made it so pleasurable to me, because being in a room with other military spouses, like I said, and experiencing some of the same things that we go through as military spouses, like, yeah, you get it. Like, you really get it. Like, you understand when I say this.
Well, so it was. And one thing I just want to say is, like, it's also really nice to be in a room of professionals where I don't have to explain the acronym that I'm saying. I don't have to explain the stress of deployment. I don't have to explain it. I don't have to explain what a TDY is, right? Like, these are just part of our vernacular. But if I do that in a work context, or I had to explain to my boss recently, I was like, my husband's going to be gone for 45-ish days. And she's like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And I was like, not the first time, won't be the last. And she thought I was crazy for reacting that way. But it's just a different lifestyle.
It is. And something else too, being in a room with professionals, where if someone said, well, I took the bar and I was an attorney, but right now I'm working at the commissary, we're not going to be like, what? Because we get it, especially if you're an attorney licensed in a state in the United States, but now you're stationed in the middle of, Germany somewhere where you can't practice law. So we get that. But even being in that room with that professional who we know by trade is an attorney and may not be walking in her path at the moment, you still can say, okay, this is a professional, this is a leader. You know what? Maybe I could ask her about this, or maybe I could ask him about this. So being also in a room to network with people, from different paths, because I said, we all kind of understood that you may be this by trade, but now you're doing something different. That's really important. Yeah, just that understanding.
I love that there's so much emphasis on the connection and within the Emerging Leaders Program, because I feel like it's very easy in the military lifestyle to feel isolated,
Mhm.
and
Oh,
to
100%.
to be in with a group of military spouses that understand, I guess you could say, the slang of
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
military life. It's
Yeah.
and the professionals, as you mentioned, Cassie. It's nice to know that the professionals, the people that you're learning from, completely understand and have been in those shoes as well. Um, and with that, I also know that I also heard a little bit of surprises that you two went on, that you two mentioned, that some aspects of the cohort that you're surprised about. Was there anything in particular, though, that you could say, like, wow, that really surprised me? I was not expecting to learn that either in this program or about myself.
You know, for me, one of the most eye-opening things was it really completely changed my perception of what leadership looked like. So, of course, growing up in a corporate hierarchy, as one does in HR, you know, you always think of like, well, a leader is somebody who is hired to supervise, right? There's things like that. But when it was defined of, you know yourself, you lead yourself, and then leadership isn't just, you know, in a professional context. It's you lead your family, you lead your community, you do all of this, and that type of ownership and strength, because especially in, I don't know if you'd agree with this, but being a woman, being a mother, sometimes you have a challenge where there are situations where you can lose your identity.
Mhm.
And the fact that leadership, and you can still fall on some of these really huge pieces of yourself and be proud of that, even if you are not, you know, actively doing something in your community at that moment or actively in a career. I mean, heck, I still led my 3-year-old to take a bath today. It's still a win. So, and that was a fundamental change in how I look at the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And also too, um, the instructors was able to break down the difference between leadership and managers. Like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, two totally different things. And I was so glad that they broke that down, because sometimes as a manager, you're trying to manage things, but you're not really leading it. And so I really took notes on that, because I'm like, yeah, you know, I want to be more of the leadership rather than just managing. That's just my passion. Um, so I thought that was really good. But that was like an aha moment to me too, when they, you know, differentiate did the difference between the two of manager and leader. Um, and also when they were saying, you know, leadership, it doesn't look one particular way. You know, a lot of us lead by example. We're not the big voices. Like, you know, I may be a big voice because I'm an extrovert, but that doesn't mean that the introvert who is quiet is not a leader. So that was really an aha moment too. And I think a lot of people in the room was like, oh yeah, because, you know, I am quiet. So, but, you know, is it a quiet strength? So I think it was eye opening that people started to looking at leadership from a different angle, you know, not just being out front and loud, but also, you know, by example, by being the quiet one, but, you know, with the quiet strength.
You know, with those you know, amazing answers, thank you so much for sharing. Is for me, I am such a big believer in transformational change,
Mhm.
education, whatever is transformational. I believe that those are the things that impact us the most in
Mhm.
our professional lives and in our personal lives. And I love that you two went into detail about that, because that is what our next topic is going to be within
Oh,
the
lovely.
Emerging Leaders Program. So now I want to jump to that side of it, of how this has impacted your leadership both professionally and personally. The first question is that, since your time with the Emerging Leaders Program, how has that influenced your leadership both professionally and personally?
Oh, so love to hear that. So I kind of adopted this kind of mentality of, I am a leader without authority in every sense of the word. And essentially, and for me, that means that I don't have to have a title of a manager to be able to do things, to have an impact, to lead by example, right?
Mhm.
So I've actively gone out of my way and told individuals in my orbit, it was like, if you are looking for some type of mentorship or help, let me help you. And so great example is I have a gentleman who he's pretty junior in his career. He's been navigating the interesting political landscape as life goes on and learning some certain things. And we've kind of talked through it. Well, I've been fortunate to say that he has been promoted into a more senior position. He's definitely taking on more responsibility. But from a different perspective as well is that I basically put my hand up and told my boss, I was like, I'm going to start doing projects that I think are going to help and have an impact. And you just tell me if I go too far. So far, she hasn't. It's been about 1.5 years, and she just kind of lets me do what I need to do. Sometimes she'll like push me in the right direction, but I do a training program. We actually call it Driven to Lead. And in this program, we've had 19 individuals be promoted since the inception of it at the beginning of 2025. And for a very large company like the one that I work for, that's huge. And these are people's lives that are being impacted because of the ability to come in, give certain leadership topics, to just be able to use my my developer, my empathy, and it just like feels really good.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the topics that we covered in the Emerging Leaders program was, I think the title was, "Are you leading through the crisis or managing the response?" And I was like, wow, yeah, let me think about that. So, because when we're in leadership, one of the things that Corey in particular, had mentioned is that if not us, then who? So if not you, then who? And so, that stayed with me a while. And I still go back to think about it now when I see opportunities to lead people or to lead through the crisis, not manage the response, but leading through the crisis, then that's important. That's when I step into that role. If not me, then who? Let me step in. What can I do to support you? And sometimes I don't ask that question because sometimes when a person is in the middle of an issue or something going on, they may not know what support they need. So it has really helped me in my business as a coach and as a mentor, and even in my professional world in behavioral health, to not always just ask how can I support you, but also assess the situation and see how I can offer support, and maybe just offer that support. Because you don't want to just manage the response. And, I'll give a short example. My husband and I spent 10 years in Japan, Yokosuka, Japan, stationed there. And we was there during 4 major disasters. And so one of those disasters in particular, just really devastated our community. So one of the things that I did is I didn't go and ask, what can I do to support you? I said, no, you know what? Let's start a food train. Let's get some food over there to these people. That is leadership. That's not, you're not waiting until the response, managing the response of later. Well, did they get food? No, let's just start a food train and get them some food over there. Everybody pitch in and we're going to do this. So I think about those and like I said, the topic that we covered, are you leading through the crisis? Like leadership really means, okay, if the person don't know how I can support them, then let me offer some support. They can either tell me yeah or no, or they can say, oh, that was perfect. I didn't even think of that. And you do hear that a lot. Like, I really didn't think of that. Oh yeah, I do need to do this. The life binder. The life binder, I have mentioned it to so many people, military and not military. Like this life
Just a
binder,
good thing to have.
yeah, it's really life-changing. Like, have you thought about all of these things? Do you have these things, somewhere? And I've actually, shown a couple of people and said, you need a life binder. And we learned this in our Emerging Leaders Program. This is a life binder. These are the things you should be looking for. So those things really have helped me too in my coaching business. in my professional world and in my personal life, because I've even showed the life binder to my family members. I have 4 adult kids, and like I said, 1 daughter-in-law and sister. And I'm like, you guys, everybody needs a life binder. Get one done.
Thank you both for sharing. Those are amazing examples of more than amazing examples of how the Emerging Leaders Program impacts you as you graduate from the program itself. I really love, Melissa, that you talked about the difference of leadership compared to being like a manager, right? While manager being more of a manager type role has its place, there is a difference with like when it comes to leadership. There is a difference of between the two, and I'm happy that you both of you went into the differences with that. And now I want to talk about the community a little bit on how this has helped you within your the military spouse community or your community as a whole. Starting off with, have you collaborated with any other alumni from the Emerging Leaders program, or have you continued to stay involved with the Emerging Leaders or the Leadership Institute for Military Spouses?
Yeah, actually, I just signed up to be an Air Force mentor. I'm in the process of going through all my training so that I can be more of a hands-on trainer or hands-on mentor. I really like the one-on-one approach when I can, because I feel like everyone has unique issues and problems. So love to do that. And then, like I said, I did go through the Notre Dame mental health ally program as well. Absolutely adored that. Didn't get into Harvard and the Harvard program. And you know what? That's okay. Maybe in the future. But for now, I'm just really happy to dig in and be able to help other people in the Air Force. On a smaller scale, I've helped some individuals, navigate the changes of like either a new PCS or finding job. I did help a woman through a program that had been a stay-at-home mom for 8 years and finally get back into the workforce because her husband had retired and they finally found their like permanent home. And that was a really satisfying thing afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. So several different directions for me. They all have been leadership. And I was like, okay, was this planned? So I'm also a mentor with ACP, and that's part of the community of the veterans as well as military spouses. It has really increased. Like, I've taken on more mentees. It's helped with my coaching business, of course, because now I've had more military spouses. But the two that I'm really the most proud of, and because I did take Notre Dame as well, and I took the MLSDP too. But the two that I'm the most proud of as far as leadership is that, like I said, I was a mentor with MSON, but after the ELP, I was promoted to branch mentor. So I'm now the leader over all of the Navy branch. And I was like, okay, this is the perfect design, because again, that's where the leadership, comes in at. So I'm very proud of that. And then the second thing is that I was just recently, I won the 2026 AFI Military Spouse of the Year for the Navy base Everett.
Congratulations, Melissa. That's amazing.
It is. I was so honored. And I'm like, all of this though contributes back to ELP and to Notre Dame and to all the other programs through MSON that has really pushed me forward into, not pushed me in a bad way, but prodded me gently into those leadership. So, and there's more, but those are the two that just, I'm really proud of. It's like, yes, I can do this. Like, I, set out for leadership, and this is a solid role of leadership and how I am impacting the community. Military, the veterans, as well as spouses. So yeah, I'm really proud of those two.
You should be. I'm glad you got your flowers. You absolutely deserve that.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations to you, Melissa. That is so amazing. And to you as well, Cassie. Congratulations to the both of you. Now with that, I just want to jump to our final section in the personal reflection section. I feel like there's a lot of imposter syndrome when it comes to joining a program like this. What would you say to a military spouse who may be on the fence about joining the Emerging Leaders Program?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, I was concerned because when I joined, I haven't really been in a true leadership situation. Like, I was always in a situation where it's like, I work with leaders, I talk to leaders every day. But I think that, again, when you expand your definition of what leadership looks like, if you expand your idea, and even if your goal is just to have a bigger impact, whether that is in your close knit community or even leading your family, you could be a stay at home parent and still be an incredible leader at an individual level. And all of those are valid and all of them are welcome in a program like this, because I mean, it's, even if there's something you plan on staying in for another couple of years and you plan on PCSing, you're going to learn something valuable about that. But just knowing and being able to dig a little bit more in depth with yourself, and like you kind of talked about, Tony, about learning about yourself and being able to identify those strengths, everybody deserves to do that, regardless of what your original intent is with it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I would say three things. Number one is be a sponge. Be a sponge and come and soak up some of this knowledge. Because I mean, that's, like I said, that's what has helped me. Be a sponge and just, it's free. It's free knowledge. You don't have anything to lose. So come soak it up. Don't be, afraid, because again, it's knowledge that you're pouring into yourself. Number two, self-care. Invest in yourself with this type of self-care. This is helping, you maybe see things that you didn't know before. Like with us, with the 5 top Clifton strengths. You may learn something that about yourself that can help you in the long run, whether you're a stay-at-home mom or professional or in between. Just come and invest into yourself, because that's what this is for, to invest into you as a military spouse. And number three, you deserve it. You deserve to have a program like this for you. We have plenty of programs out there for our service members, but this is for us, the spouses. So, you deserve it. Come and absorb some of the knowledge, invest in yourself, get this self-care. And, like I said, it doesn't matter what season you're in your life right now. This right here there's something in it for everybody. It doesn't matter what, like I said, what season you're in, there's something in it for everybody, and it's free. So and come and connect with other spouses, if nothing else, connect with other spouses. You will be surprised at, what friends you may make. But definitely come and connect. Yep. Invest in yourself.
I love hearing the emphasis of connection and community. That is been, as I've mentioned, time in and time out, that is my favorite part. And I want to thank the both of you for joining me on today's episode. It was a blast to talk shop, to talk about the Emerging Leaders Program with you guys. I've learned so much, again, from Leaders Program, and I think that's my other favorite thing too. I just love to learn, like, kind of like you said, Melissa, being a sponge. That is such an amazing piece of advice that I'm gonna take with me. From now, I'm just gonna say, hey, be a sponge. It's like, be a sponge.
So if you learned something today, it's be a sponge. We love that.
Absolutely. So thank you to the both of you again for being here today. And I just want to say that for the viewers, for the Let's Talk LIMS podcast, you can find this entire episode at Military Spouse Advocacy Network /YouTube. You can find it on YouTube, and also be on the lookout for next month's episode and follow LIMS on social media. And there you can keep up with other things that are going on with the Leadership Institute for Military Spouses. You could also keep up with future podcast episodes that come once a month. And yeah, I cannot wait to see you, everyone, in the next episode of the Leadership Institute for Military Spouses. Thank you once again to Melissa and Cassie for joining me today. Is there any last words from the both of you that you would like to say?
I would just like to thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to get up here and talk about something I am very passionate about. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Again, thanks as well. Go take care of yourselves, not just your family. And if you're out here on the East Coast like I am, please stay warm and stay safe. There's so much snow out there.
Stay safe out there, everyone. And thank you again to the both of you. So if that is the case, thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And we'll see you in the next episode. Have a good day.